Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 97. Without any delay, start explanation. The main purpose of making one-word battle armor was to prepare for the future. Once the time came for Tang Wulin's group to make two-word battle armor, they would be able to use completely new materials. They wouldn't be restricted to the metals they chose now. Upon entering their rented workshop, all shone in Luo Guixing's eyes when he saw how large it was. Elder Phone treats you really well. The workshop was at least 150 square meters in area. The space was at least twice as large as what people could normally rent, and it was filled with all the best equipment and tools. An empty shelf for metals stood off to one side. All of this came at the cheap price of 1,000 contribution points a month. Now this was the benefit of having connections. Tang Wulin smiled shyly. We can talk about that after I 1,000 refine your metals. Guu, have you drawn up any rough designs yet? We'll need to discuss them before I get to forging. Guu nodded. I've already been getting feedback from the other two these past few days. I understand your situation as well, so I was able to get some first drafts done. She walked over to the forging table and took blueprints out of her storage ring. With one in hand, she turned to face them. For the first piece of our battle armors, I decided on armor for our right hands. I chose this piece because it's the easiest to use in combat and will immediately result in the largest increase in power. She unfurled the blueprint in her hands, then pointed at the various drawings. Hand armor is made of separate parts that cover the actual hand, extend past the forearm, and go all the way to the elbow. So really, it's armor for both your hand and forearm. This is the design I drafted for you. You chose heavy silver, the main property of which is soul power amplification. After thinking about what would suit you best, I concluded that, since your hand can transform into the golden dragon claw, it would be essential for your hand armor to expand alongside it. To accommodate that, I added a transformation circuit core in the palm that will allow the armor to transform along with your arm. I also left holes in the fingertips of the armor for your claws since they are already extremely sharp weapons anyway. To amplify your blood essence and soul power, I added circuit cores to the back of the hand armor. This is a dual-loop circuit core I specially designed. Guu went over the entire design without leaving out a single detail. Tang Wulin was stunned by how meticulous and complex her work was. Designers are awesome. This was Tang Wulin's first time learning about circuit cores and seeing the complexity hidden within designs. Making this design a reality would clearly be difficult. Tang Wulin stole a glance at Wu Sidor and Luo Guixing. He couldn't discern any strange change in expression, a clear sign that Guu's design was on the right track. Any piece of one-word battle armor needs at least 3 circuit cores, Guu said, wrapping up her explanations. In comparison, each piece of two-word armor needs 5 circuit cores. These circuit cores have to be built into the metal itself, so high-quality refined metal is required. 1,000 refined metal is the bare minimum for making one-word armor. Tang Wulin nodded. It's a good thing I saw your designs first. Now I know what to focus on improving when I forge the metal. After I finish refining it, I'll shape it according to the designs. While I shape it, I'll refine it a second time and make the metal stronger or more flexible, whichever is more suited to the design. Luo Guixing looked at Tang Wulin in shock. You can refine a metal twice. He once heard that twice refined metal was essential in making battle armor. Tang Wulin nodded. Luo Guixing looked him in the eye. If that's true, then I feel a lot better about the plan now. Making our battle armors should be easier than I thought. Then let's get started, Tang Wulin replied. We'll take one step at a time. Guu, iron out the rest of the designs and make them flawless. I'm going to begin the first refining of our metals. Once you've perfected your designs, I'll do the second refining. All right. Each of the 4 had their respective profession, and all were talented in their own field. With their common goal to become battle armor masters, they temporarily set their differences aside to work together. An hour later, the twinkling metal sat on the forging table. They were chunks of first-grade 1000 refined heavy silver, magic silver, Stygian iron, and 1000 moment copper. It had only taken Tang Wulin an hour to 1000 refine 4 chunks of metal. Every time he finished, a beam of light shot a meter into the air, signifying that it had been imbued with spirit. Tang Wulin had appeared utterly relaxed throughout the entire process. Despite the discontent harbored for him, Wu Sidua and Luo Guixing had to admit that he was the best blacksmith they could have hoped for. The 4 shining pieces of refined metal were proof of that. "Do you have any suggestions for my hand armor design?" Gu asked. Tang Wulin thought to himself for a moment, stroking his chin. "I think it's perfect as is. My right arm is my main means of attack, so making my golden dragon claw stronger is the best thing for my hand armor to do. As for my blue-silver grass, it'll be fine as long as the armor doesn't hinder it. I trust in your skills." "Good," said Gu. "I'll have you approve my designs once I've finished them. We're going to discuss the rest of the designs and the making process now. If you have something to do, feel free to leave." "All right. I'm going to find Elder Feng. If you guys need anything, give me a call." Luo Guixing watched Tang Wulin as he went out the door, then he turned to Gu. "Has he always been this good at blacksmithing?" Gu looked at him in disdain. She obviously still held a grudge against him for his actions in the match. "Don't you know? Some people are just blessed by the heavens." Luo Guixing just smiled meekly in response. He went over to the blueprints and examined them. "This part of the design is too complex. It'll be too hard for me to make it like this, so you should revise it." The 3 of them continued discussing the designs without Tang Wulin. As for him, he went to go find Feng Wuyu. Tang Wulin liked how busy his life was. Everything was going according to the plan he set for both himself and his companions. Although Xie Xie and Xu Xiaoyan weren't a part of his group, they would forever be members of Class 0 and his trusted comrades. He naturally hadn't forgotten about them and already had the perfect solution for their predicaments. Sun with rays. Yuan Yehui was in her male disguise as usual. Not a single thing about her was out of place. Just as she entered the dormitory, its tidiness astounded her. The floor had been swept, not a single speck of dust to be seen. Then she arrived at her room and found a bucket of clean water sitting just outside the oven. Who did this? She opened her door and carried the bucket in, her brow furrowed. A few people flashed through her mind. Could it have been Tang Wulin? No way. Considering how much he eats, I bet he's still gorging himself at the dining hall. Only the heavens knew how Tang Wulin would react if he knew what Yuan and Yehui's thought of him. Was it you Zhengyu then? There's no way that guy is this nice. Even though he definitely knows I'm not an evil soul master now, he still tries to pick fights with me in class. Could it be him then? A tall, thin figure popped into her mind, his handsome features fixed into a mischievous smile that held a hint of haughtiness. Then she imagined herself beating him up. HMPH. Yuan and Yehui clenched her fists at the thought of the boy. She grabbed the bucket of water, stomped to her door, opened it, then threw all of the water out, and slammed the door shut. After putting the bucket down, she placed her hands on her hips. That hadn't lessened her anger one bit. It took her a long time to calm down. Letting out a long sigh, she pulled open the blinds. Since they know now, there's no point keeping this charade up while at the dormitory. She walked over to her bed and took off her coat and wig, exposing her dark red hair. She took a moment to rub her face, her pretty features soon resurfacing. Then a popping sound emanated from her bones and she grew a bit taller, her womanly curves becoming more pronounced. My original appearance really is the most comfortable. She touched her cheeks, basking in the change, when all of a sudden, pain flashed through her eyes. She stumbled over to her bed, hands clutching her head as she toppled onto it. Her body began to twitch, and her jaw clenched so tightly that it was on the verge of breaking. Spasms racked her body as her eyes gradually went scarlet. Tears streamed down her face as dread began to creep inside of her. All she could see before her eyes was a sea of blood. No, she screamed, forcing herself upright. As she sat on her bed gasping for breath, the door flew open with a bang, and a figure charged into the room. "What's going on? Are you okay?" Yuan and Yehua looked up at Xie Xie, who had barged in. He met her scarlet eyes and gulped, then meekly asked, "Hey, are you okay?" Xie Xie had been waiting for her the entire time. Just like Yuan and Yehua had suspected, he was the one who cleaned the dormitory. He had drawn the bucket of water outside her door as well, using his shadow dragon dagger to invisibly lurk in the vicinity, waiting for Yuan and Yehua to return. When he saw her dump out the bucket of water, he felt as though he were getting punched in the gut. Just as he was about to leave, however, he heard her pained screams and charged into her room without a second thought. Only as he stared into her crimson eyes did he start to feel awkward. "Get out," she screamed. "Ah!" Xie Xie turned tail and ran off. Fear continued to linger in his heart when it came to her. The memory of her attempting to kill him had been burned into his mind, and even as he ran out, Xie Xie did not forget to close the door behind him. Yuan and Yehua panted for breath as she wiped tears from her face. She then curled up in her bed, gripping her blanket tightly. "Sun with rays. Do you know what the greatest difference is between blacksmiths who can spirit refine and those who can't?" Feng Wuyu asked Tang Wulin. "Well, they can spirit refine," Tang Wulin answered. "That's a shit answer. It's nowhere near as simple as that. Just what has Mu Chen been teaching you?" Feng Wuyu glared at Tang Wulin, the intensity in his gaze forcing the boy to stumble backward a step. "Teacher Mu said that I shouldn't bite off more than I can chew, that he'll teach me what I need to know about spirit refining when I could actually do it," Tang Wulin answered meekly. "That way, I can focus on improving my skills." "Nonsense!" Feng Wuyu shouted. "His way of teaching is half-assed. Only with a comprehensive understanding of your blacksmithing path will you be able to properly prepare and progress on it. Now pay attention. I'll teach you just what a Grandmaster blacksmith is. Prior to spirit refining, blacksmiths only have to work according to routine. In other words, they just have to practice skilled labor. After spirit refining, blacksmiths can finally show their flair and character in their work. This is a major milestone for blacksmiths." Feng Wuyu paused for a moment, letting the information sink in. Herein lies the greatest difference between 4th and 5th rank blacksmiths. From now on, in addition to single, homogeneous metals, you will be forging alloys. Alloys? The idea left Tang Wulin dumbstruck, and an inkling of what was to come began forming in his mind. To spirit refine is to bestow life upon metals, Feng Wuyu declared. "You've succeeded in doing so once before, so let me ask you this, when you were spirit refining, what was the hardest part of the process?" Giving the metal life, Tang Wulin answered instantly. The metal gradually gains intelligence while being forged, and after reaching a certain level of intelligence, its very nature transforms. At that moment, we blacksmiths need to imbue it with our vitality to awaken the metal and grant it true life. Only then will the spirit refining succeed. Also, since metal has no life to begin with, the degree to which we can awaken its intelligence is crucial to the chances of successfully spirit refining. Not bad, kid. That's a pretty good explanation. Now, what does the innate nature of the metal have to do with the difficulty of bestowing it life? The better the metal, the easier it is to spirit refine. The creation of life is one of the universe's most important matters. In the split-second life is created, there is a burst of unperceivable energy. This energy is what we call life energy, and it's the basis of all life. While we may not be able to sense this energy, lifeless objects are extremely sensitive to it. If an object manages to absorb that energy, it gains life, but if it doesn't, it's ravaged by that energy and reduced to garbage. This is why failed spirit refinings result in metal that can no longer be used. Your overwhelming vitality is a large part of why you succeeded in your first spirit refining. Your life force poured into the heavy silver along with your blood essence, strengthening it and ultimately allowing it to gain life. You accidentally succeeded at an extremely difficult procedure that we blacksmiths call fledgling life guard. Not all blacksmiths are capable of this, and even saint blacksmiths only succeed 30% of the time. So, after countless experiments, we came up with another method to increase the success rate of spirit refining. The basis of that method is the improvement of the metal's strength and its ability to absorb life energy. In order to do that, we forge alloys. Alloys are just what you're thinking of, a combination of multiple metals into one. Although they see extensive use in mechas, they are different from the kind I'm talking about. Alloys used in mechas are made by simply melting different metals into liquid, mixing them together, fixing the ratios, and shaping the completed product. Some chemicals are even used to help with the process. The alloys I'm referring to, however, are forged by hand and hammer alone. Blacksmiths also need to carefully mix metals and make sure that the ratios are correct, but we merge them by forging them together, evenly shaping the resulting alloy to strengthen it and bring out the best of its properties. We then finish off the alloy by spirit refining, and at higher levels, soul refining it. The moment a metal is spirit refined, the future of its growth is decided. From today onward, I will be teaching you how to forge alloys. Once you can skillfully forge 10 alloys, we'll move on to spirit refining. This way, your chances of success will be higher. Tang Wulin had been listening earnestly the entire time, but Feng Wuyu's final words made his eyes start sparkling with excitement. After he managed to reach a 100% success rate with first-grade 1000 refinement, Tang Wulin had actually had no idea how to progress further. After years of forging, he was exceptionally familiar with a wide variety of metals, and his 1000 refining technique had been polished to perfection. While spirit refining did bestow life to a metal, it did not significantly improve the metal's properties. Spirit refining was mainly done to allow metal to merge with its user. Tang Wulin knew all of this, but he didn't know what his next step was supposed to be. Even though he knew about soul refining, he didn't know how to do it or what it did. Beyond that was the fabled heavenly refining, something he only knew the name of. Tang Wulin had been at a complete loss as to how he should proceed, but hearing Feng Wuyu's explanation of alloys was like a seeing new door open before him. Learning how to forge alloys would allow him to reach greater heights as a blacksmith, and he had no doubt that higher-level battle armors used alloys as a base. This is probably what Teacher Mu wanted to talk to me about. Everything is different now that I've reached the 5th rank. It's a whole new world. Feng Wuyu continued to teach Tang Wulin about alloys, how to forge them, and most importantly, their formulas. Countless rounds of trial and error resulted in the creation of formulas that were passed down through the generations from master to disciple. Each and every formula was a precious inheritance. Alloy formulas were categorized as either common or rare. Rare formulas could be considered secrets that only a few privileged individuals were allowed to know. Common formulas, on the other hand, were basically available to the general public. The more metals used in forging an alloy, the harder it was to forge it. This happened because the number of transformations that occurred in the mixture went up with each additional metal. This made formulas that included more metals all the more valuable. Common-grade alloy formulas generally used 2 to 3 metals. Any formula that listed more than 3 metals was considered a rare formula, and rarity increased with the number of metals involved. Unknown to Tang Wulin, inheritance became important once a blacksmith began learning how to forge alloys. The Blacksmiths Association even restricted the sale of common-grade alloy formulas to talented blacksmiths alone. Fortunately, Tang Wulin had Feng Wuyu and Mu Chen, 2 saint blacksmiths, as masters. He didn't need to worry about obtaining alloy formulas. Unknown to Tang Wulin, inheritance became crucial once a blacksmith began learning how to forge alloys. Even the common-grade alloy formulas were restricted in sale by the Blacksmiths Association to talented blacksmiths. Fortunately for Tang Wulin, he had Feng Wuyu and Mu Chen, 2 saint blacksmiths, as his masters. He needn't worry about obtaining alloy formulas at all. Feng Wuyu's teaching style was completely different from Mu Chen's. While Mu Chen was gentle and understanding, Feng Wuyu was short-tempered and impatient. If Tang Wulin made a single mistake, the workshop would shake with Feng Wuyu's roars. Only after 4 long hours of forging did Tang Wulin's sturdy body finally give in to exhaustion. "Teacher, I'm hungry," Tang Wulin said feebly. "All right, go eat then. Come back when you're done. We can still fit in 3 more hours of blacksmithing tonight." Did you think blacksmithing was all fun and games? Don't be a fool. If the metal ratio of the mixture is even a tiny bit off, it won't qualify to even be called an alloy. Combining multiple metals into one is a slow and complicated process. If the ratio is off, they won't form a cohesive whole. Yes. Tang Wulin listened earnestly. Although this teacher of his had a terribly violent nature, his critiques always hit the nail on the head, and he answered all of Tang Wulin's questions with ease. Besides, Tang Wulin wouldn't give in to merely this much pressure. Now shoo. Feng Wuyu waved him off. Go and get dinner. Tang Wulin turned and ran out the door. The instant he was out of sight, Feng Wuyu's angry expression eased into grin, and he began dancing around the room in joy. Ha ha! I've really picked up a treasure this time. That kid's well worth his price. He's a real prodigy. He's already forged alloy of this level on his first try. If he isn't a prodigy, he's a monster. Ha ha! I have such good eyes. Tang Wulin's hardships were only beginning. He attended classes in the morning and learned from Feng Wuyu in the afternoon thrice a week. He was slowly figuring out the trick to forging alloys, and his blacksmithing skills were rapidly improving. Yet Feng Wuyu still forbid him from attempting to spirit refine. Sun with rays. What? He taught you how to forge alloys? Mu Chen stared at Tang Wulin in astonishment. Is there something wrong with that, teacher? Tang Wulin met his teacher's gaze with doubtful eyes. Between making battle armor, learning from Feng Wuyu, and keeping up with his cultivation, Tang Wulin had recently been deprived of nearly all his free time. He only managed to pay Mu Chen a visit after scraping together every second he could. Of course not. The corner of Mu Chen's mouth began to twitch. Do you know what rank people usually begin learning about alloys? The sixth. The sixth rank. Fifth rank blacksmiths only need to know how to spirit refine. Even if their chances of success are extremely low, a single successful spirit refining elevates a blacksmith to the fifth rank. However, to get to the sixth rank, a blacksmith needs to be able to forge at least 6 2-metal alloys and 3 3-metal alloys. Teaching you about alloys when you haven't even solidified your spirit refining foundation is just irresponsible. Huh? Tang Wulin's eyes widened at Mu Chen's words. Elder Feng, why do you always stray from the beaten path? A pensive expression appeared on Mu Chen's face. This lasted for a few moments, and then he leaped to his feet. Follow me. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.